Hello, Suns fans. This is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. Way too much to cover today, so let's get to it. Quote of the day: to be the man, you have to beat the man. Ric Flair. I never followed WWE. I wasn't interested in it. I like real sports. Actually, wrestling was entertaining, but that's what they called it. They called it sports entertainment. I couldn't get into it because it was clear that the outcome was inevitable. The outcome was preordained. I also thought it was hysterical that they'd be in the center of the ring holding a handheld mic. I'm gonna kill you. Here, how's the mic? Oh, thank you. No, you're not. No, here's the mic back to you. It was like this is insulting. Even as a child, and I wasn't the brightest kid on the planet, but even then I knew. I said this is not genuine competition. It was athletic. Couldn't get into it, but I love that quote. It's a big part of success. As harsh as it may sound, it's a big part of success. I worked in alternative rock radio in Denver as a programmer and a morning DJ back in the day at KTCL, Channel 93.3 in Denver. The amount of criticism myself and the rest of the air staff got. You don't know music. You don't know what you're doing. You guys are idiots. Even though our ratings were great, we'd get our bonuses. Our bosses loved us. It was a very tough and gratifying job. I mean, the most random people would come up to you at a show and go, you suck. You don't know what you're doing. I don't like the sound of your voice. You'd just be like, okay. Thank you for the unsolicited criticism. But it was always people who thought that they could do our jobs better than us. And my partner, who still runs the station in Denver, Jeb, he would always say, cool, man, get off the sidelines and into the game. My response was a little bit more confrontational. It was like, cool, then take my job from me. And I just stand there. And then they backtrack. And then even one morning, I remember inviting the guy, come to the station with me tomorrow. You got to be here at 5 because I'm the morning DJ. And then you have to have a whole show prepped, and you have to have this interview getting ready, and then you have to edit this. But then, no. Then we have to program the station later. So it would get to this point where I realized critics are just people that just want to criticize. They just want to put their energy into criticizing instead of making themselves better to come take your job. So that was always my response to it. And I know it sounds harsh and it sounds ultra competitive. But when it came to my livelihood and something that I was passionate about, if you can do it better, then take it away from me. If not, don't criticize, make yourself better, and then legitimately take it away from me and let me realize, oh, wow, that guy's better than me. So I always like that quote. But I think sometimes you do have to beat the person who's ahead of you to get what you want. Sometimes it's indirect. Sometimes the person who hired that guy that you want to beat sees that your potential is higher than this person's, and they move that person out of the way for you. That's another way to do it. But that quote always spoke to me, and I always really liked it. Not a lot of Suns news today, just a little bit, but I do want to talk about Linsanity, which is officially over as of today. During a stretch of games for the Knicks in 2012, when Carmelo Anthony went down with an injury, former Suns coach, then Knicks coach Mike D'Antoni, puts in Jeremy Lin, who no one had heard of, leads the Knicks to a 7-game win streak during Linsanity. He scored at least 20 points in 9 of 10 games, capped it with a 38.7 assist effort in a win over the Lakers, outscoring Kobe Bryant, who had 34. Undrafted Jeremy Lin averaged 14.6, 6.2 assists in 35 games that season for the Knicks. Undrafted. No chance in hell this guy is going to have an NBA career. He played for 9 teams, and he got a ring with the Raptors in 2019. Serviceable for a long time. As a quote, since he retired this past Saturday, he's been playing professionally in Taiwan. Here's his quote. As athletes, we are always aware that the possibility of retirement is never far away. I spent my 15-year career knowing that one day I would have to walk away, and yet actually saying goodbye to basketball today has been the hardest decision I've ever made, end quote. Do yourself a favor. Watch the Linsanity documentary on Netflix. It's if you didn't see Linsanity happen, or if you're too young to know what it even is, if you're a real basketball fan, you watch this documentary. Every Hoops fan should, and thank you, Jeremy Lin. The only other news I got is the Emirates NBA Cup Tournament 2025 begins Friday, October 31st, Halloween. Weird start dates. Semifinals are Saturday, December 13th. Championship, Tuesday, December 16th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. For a minute, I thought that all the Cup games were counted as were not counted in the regular season record. They are. It's just the championship game isn't. That's the only one that's not. So knock yourself out. I can't get into the Cup. Can you? I can't, especially the colored floors. We've discussed this. All right, let's get on to a little bit more news with Kobe Brea. So I mentioned that the Suns YouTube page has 3 interviews with 3 of the rookies, Fleming, Malawach, and Kobe Brea. Watch the Kobe Brea interview first, if you watch any of them at all. If you saw him play in Summer League or just saw the highlights, and if you didn't notice, he has a pretty good jump shot. It's kind of ridiculously smooth and almost like ahead of its time because his arms are so long, and he's 6'7", and he gets up high. I'm not going to compare him to KD. I'm just saying it's an unblockable shot. As Kevin Durant's jump shot, you can't block his shot. You might be able to block him going to the rim. You can't block a jump shot. You can't block his mid. Kobe Brea has that advantage without even playing a preseason game for the Suns yet. He's so confident, and he loves to demoralize his defender because he knows how good he is offensively. Kobe Brea, he hasn't done anything yet, but he falls into the killer category. He says it himself, quote, "Just to be a killer, everybody knows what I'm known for," which is obviously my shooting. So just to go out there and just keep doing what I do and just keep evolving as a player. So just show that I'm a killer and continue to evolve in the other areas of my game, end quote. Think of a guy this young, this confident in his offense. In his offense, he's already kind of there. This is a guy, if you let it fly, will get you 20 points a game. He might not be a great defender. We don't know what else he's capable of. I just remember seeing Walter Davis for the first time. And I'm not comparing him to Walter Davis either. But the legendary Al McCoy gave Walter Davis 2 nicknames. The Greyhound, because he was fast, and the Man with the Velvet Touch, because Walter Davis, when he first came into the league, had the prettiest form on that jump shot. I have a poster of Walter Davis taking that shot over Greg Ballard of the Washington Wizards at the time. I'm going to post that eventually. I'm going to put that up behind me sooner or later. But Walter Davis had perfect shooting form. Kobe Brea has perfect shooting form. He's an inch taller than Walter Davis. His arms are longer than Walter Davis. He's on a 2-way contract. He will not be rushed. He can cut back and forth between the G League to improve other aspects of his game. But Kobe Brea looks like a player, and it's been said a few times, he might have been the steal of the draft. Some people say Rasheer Fleming is the steal of the draft. Let me put it this way. The Suns usually come up with a gem every draft, and if they don't, they get rid of him for something better. It's just a thought, but I think Kobe Brea might actually be the real deal. I am really curious to see what you think, and I'm really curious to see what happens once preseason comes around. Alrighty, let's get to the comments, which are, let's face it, our favorite part of this. From Mohamed Kabal 5242, big fan of the show for almost a month now. It's kind of refreshing to see. Thank you. It's kind of refreshing to see a grounded, level-headed Suns fan dishing it out how it is. That's a really nice thing to say. Thank you. Not a huge fan of the local content. I feel like we suffer in that department. Content is content. If you're making it up, you're making it up. If you're just reporting what's out there and offering good POV, then it's decent content. That's all I'm trying to do. This is what I would want to see if I was a Suns fan, and I am, and I do. So there we are. What about Max McClung? Oh wow, he is now a free agent. The least we could do is give him a 2-way. Maybe give the Suns their first slam dunk contest win since Larry Nance and Cedric Sabalas. At the very least, you made my day with the comment. Thank you. I like Max McClung. I like that he's a 2-way guard. It says something that he can't seem to stay on a roster for very long. I love that he comes up to win the slam dunk contest and goes back to the G League. But between Gillespie, Goodwin, and Butler all vying for court time, I think we got the backup guard covered right now, unless somehow we can get Dinwiddie on the team. Then I would want him, and I would get rid of at least one of those guys. No problem with that. But I like Goodwin. I think he's a couple of years smarter, and he'll be better. Gillespie deserves a shot. He really came on at the end of the season. That's why we benched Tyus Jones and eventually got rid of him. Somebody saw something in Gillespie. And Butler is completely unproven, but he had a pretty decent year last year. But it's all a very good point. And I love Max McClung. If we got him, I wouldn't have a problem with it either. At Steve Postero 3071 for the 15, I agree on the first 13. Maybe Dan Marley for 14. Marley is 14. We did that last Suns latest. I remember when the Suns drafted him, it sounded like a bunch of owls. Yeah, you remember Cotton Fitzsimmons shutting everybody down? I remember Marley palming the ball and holding it away from James Worthy in L.A., just like Connie Hawkins. Rich, I look forward to your blog. I really like the old Phoenix comments. I enjoy remembering the geezer moments that I've shared. Keep it up, Steve in Virginia. My man, thank you very much. That's really nice. That's very nice. Thank you. No, I'm not. Okay, moving on. Yeah, Thunder Dan and cheers. Yeah, go Suns. Thank you, Steve. At Metallicop, Suns, Legend City, Wallace and Ladmo. Dude, I was on Wallace and Ladmo as a kid. I got a Ladmo bag. I was part of the Savers Club, the most boring child in Phoenix. Tubing Salt River, cruising Central. Phoenix was a special place to grow up. Forgot cruising Metro. and getting beat up because you cruised Metro, which was most of my high school years. At John Freeman, someone mentioned comments back from the day. My mom and I enjoyed Joe Gilmartin comments from the Phoenix Gazette. Nobody did it better in the old days. And another comment about Gilmartin, don't forget the now defunct Phoenix Gazette. This is from Curious Minds 2525. As the afternoon paper, you got the better write-up of the Suns games from the previous night. Yeah, because the hangover wore off. Usually by the late, great Hall of Famer writer and Suns broadcaster, Joe Gilmartin. That's so cool that you guys bring up Joe Gilmartin. I'd always say hi to him when I went to the Suns game. He was always a nice man. He'd always say hello. I think he was freaked out that this tiny kid knew who the hell he was, but I read his book, The Little Team That Could and Darn Near Did, the book about the Suns' 76 title run. Really fun read. I'm assuming if you are an old head, you've read that book and you still have a copy somewhere. I have a copy somewhere. Man, really cool memories bringing up Joe Gilmartin. Thank you. King Nacho, 69. My vote is for Barbosa. I don't think he's making the 15. He might make the 20 if we ever do the 20. At Hammer Don PHX, Central Michigan from Marley. Thank you. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Like, who else came out of Central Michigan but Dan Marley? I always thought Sean Kemp was a low IQ player. I mentioned Sean Kemp. I love Sean Kemp. He kind of proved it by eating his way out of the league. Well, he was still an all-star even when the Sonics traded him. He was an all-star with the Cavs. He did put on a lot of weight, didn't he? Like the Big O. When you first wrote Like the Big O, I'm like, Oscar Robertson didn't eat his way out of the league. And then I remembered you're talking about Oliver Miller. Rest in peace, Big O. Our Big O. The Suns' Big O. If we hadn't traded away Mikal Bridges, he would have eventually become a top 15 Sun. Yep. Thanks for the correction. Sean Kemp was not the best decision maker on the court and in life. He could have been a top 20 player of all time. As far as the physicality, almost unmatched. Him and Roy Tarpley were two of those guys where you're like, how are you 6'10" and this mobile? How are you 6'10" and can handle the ball and run and dunk full court length and rebound as good as anybody ever did and get offensive rebounds as good as anybody ever did? For the time, those guys were a lot of fun to watch. The more I think about what we gave up for KD, Bridges and Thomas in the draft picks, the more I'm realizing that as much as I loved having KD on the Suns, and I love KD, I'll always love Kevin Durant. You're not a basketball fan if you don't love Kevin Durant's game. Probably the worst trade in Suns history. A DJ for Rick Roby is another. How contradictory is that? A player that you love, so happy to see him on your team, arguably the worst trade for your team. This is why we're all so upset. I would take Dinwiddie over Westbrook. This is back to Curious Minds. In a heartbeat, Dinwiddie is still coachable. I'd take Dinwiddie in 2 seconds. He is one of the few guys in the league that right now would be a perfect fit for the Suns. Absolute perfect fit. Chowder of the Sun. Great handle. Please get Dinwiddie. Coop Baby 76. Time to invest in a mic, big dog. I'm working on it. Still new at this. Okay. All right. All righty. We're going to round out the 15 today. Just for giggles, you're allowed a total of 15 players on a current roster, 12 active, 3 inactive. So that's how we came up with the 15. We picked the Suns' all-time 15, not by position and not by rank, just the top 15. We'll rank them later. We've gone over the requirements a million times. So the 14 right now are Devin Booker, Charles Barkley, Kevin Durant, Steve Nash, Kevin Johnson, Amari Stoudemire, Chris Paul, Sean Marion, Walter Davis, Paul Westphal, Connie Hawkins, Tom Chambers, Alvin Adams, Dan Marley. And today's 15 will be between Jason Kidd, Dick Van Arsdale, and Jeff Hornacek. This is really tough. This comes down to impact, longevity, accomplishments while with the Suns. They all three went relatively deep in the playoffs. Van Arsdale's the only one that was an integral part of helping us get to the finals. They all have all-star and either all-defense or all-NBA accolades. Van Arsdale was a second-team All-NBA defensive player and a 3-time All-Star and the original Sun and played for us forever. Jason Kidd, 3 times All-NBA first team, plus one of those years All-NBA defensive first team. We won a second-round playoff series with Jason Kidd, but didn't get any further. Jeff Hornacek won a couple of decent, deep playoff series, only a one-time All-Star, but his impact on the culture of the Suns in the late 80s when we had KJ and Chambers and Cotton Fitzsimmons and started to turn things around, it's really up there. But if you compare the three of them, as far as impact on the team, going deep in the playoffs and accolades, it's really tough. But we are going to go with Dick Van Arsdale. The original Sun deserves to be in the 15. as much as anybody because of helping us put the team on the map. Along with Gail Goodrich, the very first All-Star the Suns ever had. Integral teammate, incredible, beloved teammate, coached for a little bit, on air with Al McCoy for a little bit. Dick Van Arsdale is going to be number 15. I know there's going to be a lot of people say he doesn't deserve it over Kidd. He doesn't deserve it over Hornacek. A lot of people are going to say Kevin Durant shouldn't even be in the 15. These are decent arguments. So now that we have the 15, the next Suns latest, we're going to do it once. We're going to do swap outs. So let me know in your comments who needs to be swapped out. I have a feeling Kevin Durant is going to get swapped out for either Hornacek or Kidd. It's just what I have a feeling. I think everybody else is. I really don't think you can swap out anybody else on the Suns as far as impact and what they did while they were on the Suns. So there we are. There's your 15. We're going to swap out maybe one or two, probably just one, on the next Suns latest, and then we're going to rank them. And then we'll be done with this, and we'll go back to Suns Legend of the Day. Appreciate you watching Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. Tune in. Keep subscribing. Tell your buddies who are Suns fans about it. Anything you got to say about this, hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching.